Trump just gave a speech to the World Economic Forum. And the most important line in that whole speech is the one that actually will save Taiwan. But that's the line that the media is not covering about right now. So I'm going to dive right into today's episode of Peter's Political Perspective. As you notice, it's a little bit different today. I am hiding from a mouse in my office, and there's a cat roaming my mouse as I'm filming this, trying to find that mouse. But we'll try not to get distracted by the lighting and the sounds. We'll dive right back into it. So what's happening is that you probably heard all the zingers. Trump said a lot of funny things in his World Economic Forum speech, but there's one particular thing that stood out because a lot of people really realize that Trump's World Economic Forum literally saved Taiwan, and no one is talking about this. Now, some people might see all those zingers and funny things that Trump does, or how he angered people. He made fun of Macron, he made fun of the Prime Minister of Canada, and that gets all the headlines in the World Economic Forum. But here's the more interesting detail that literally no one in the mainstream media is talking about, but it might be the most important thing said in the entire speech. Now, there was two important intentions behind that speech. As someone who's studied for years as a behavioral therapist, I always look at what was the goal. And the goal, there were two. One was to promote sovereignty, which is what Trump did. He said the World Economic Forum promotes globalism, and that's really been harming a lot of people. We can't just offshore everything, our technology and our pharmaceuticals and our manufacturing. We need to be sovereign. And he said, it's doing great for the United States. We're the hottest country in the world. Everyone should copy us. Great. He accomplished that goal. But there was another goal. And that goal was to project power. Then you might be thinking, everyone knows we're the most powerful military in the world. Why would we even need to project more power? Well, the second most powerful country in the world is actually China. So that is the country we need to put so much fear into that they don't even attempt to try to make a move on us, or in this case, Taiwan. See, the most important line in the entire World Economic Forum speech was this one, and I'll just go ahead and show it to you.
We were a powerful force then, but we are a much more powerful force now. After I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so today, we have a budget of $1.5 trillion. We're bringing back battleships. The battleship is 100 times more powerful than the great battleships you saw in World War II, those great, big, gorgeous ships, the Missouri, the Iowa, the Alabama. Because I thought maybe we could take them out of mothballs. They said, no, sir, these ships are 100, think of that, 100 times more powerful than those big, magnificent pieces of art that you saw so many times ago, that you still see on television. You say, wow, what a force. 100 times, each ship 100 times more powerful than the big battleships of the past.
Did you hear that part about battleships and how our battleships are 100 times more powerful than our previous battleships? Now, that statement is absolutely critical. Is it true? I don't know. Trump's an embellisher in chief. It could be completely false. It could be an entire exaggeration. But here's why that's critical. Every day, President Xi of China wakes up. First thing he wants to do, so excited in the morning, is he wants to do military simulations on how to take Taiwan. You see, if China were to take Taiwan, and this would be a big if, but if China were to take Taiwan, which is the 95% of the most advanced microchips being built around the world are all being built in Taiwan. If he were able to take Taiwan and somehow convince them to make chips only for China or almost exclusive for China, they would win the AI race. And the AI power is the most powerful power in the world right now, more powerful than a nuclear bomb. So the AI race is a nuclear race. And if China were able to capture Taiwan, they would win the next nuclear race, which is the AI race. In other words, if China were to somehow successfully capture Taiwan, integrate it in United society, and get Taiwan to produce microchips for China's AI race instead of the United States AI race, they would be the most powerful country in the world for hundreds of years. It doesn't matter if we have a more powerful military. It doesn't matter if we're a more powerful country. If they win the AI race, they will harness and leverage AI and beat us on the global scale, economically, military, and every other way. So China's known for decades that actually at least for the last 30 years, when Taiwan started really producing advanced microchips, that if they could just capture Taiwan, checkmate. They checkmate the world. If China captures Taiwan and gets them to produce chips exclusive for China's AI race, it's checkmate. They win. They win the global chess match. They become the global superpower for decades, at least, if not 100 years. So it's absolutely crucial that China does not get Taiwan. The only thing is, it's going to be a naval battle. See, Taiwan's this little island that sits outside, right next to China. And if you don't know the lore of it or the history, I'll explain it real quickly. China, there was a big civil war between people who were conservative and wanted to go to the right, and there was the leftists who wanted to go to the communists. I think it was Mao. They had this big civil war, and the people from the right, the conservatives who wanted to have a democracy, they fled to Taiwan and built their democratic, Republican, conservative-like society, and it flourished because they'd not been suppressed by communism. While Mao took the rest of the mainland China and made communism, which has been a major success economically for a short time, but now it's crumbling under its own communism and socialism. The point is, China, where President Xi wakes up every morning to do these war simulations. He probably does, I'm not kidding you, at least 12 war simulations a day. He or his generals, every single day, to simulate with their resources and America's resources, how could they take Taiwan? The problem is, if they try to take Taiwan, Japan's going to come to Taiwan's defense, especially the United States will. And they have a lot of tricks up their sleeve, but it's really going to come down to the power of the battleship. See, the power of battleships is going to determine who controls Taiwan, who can protect Taiwan, and who wins the AI race. And what did Trump say? That the battleships that they have are 100 times more powerful than the previous battleships. The previous battleships were mega powerful, and ours are 100 times more powerful. In my opinion, that was the most important statement in the entire speech, and no one's talking about it. But I'm the type of person who, I look past the zingers, the drama, what the media is covering, and I actually like to do a deep dive analysis. So if you like these deep dive analysis of politics where we get beyond the fluff and actually see what's the intention, what's the goal, what's the mission, hit that subscribe button. I love to give deep dive analysis on politics, and I'm very good at it at this point. Cat, please do not scratch at my office. You're focusing on the mouse. So this is actually a very big deal. I'm going to turn Grok on in a second to hear what he has to think about it. But when you think about it, the United States is the most powerful military in the world only if we can defend Taiwan. If we can't defend Taiwan, China will take Taiwan. They will become the biggest AI power in the world, which will make them the biggest military power in the world, which will make them the biggest superpower in the world, which makes them the rulers of the world, as I explained yesterday, the most powerful country in the world, usually, obviously, with the most powerful military. It's technically the rule of the world. They are creating the order of the world, and they can decide the new world order if they want to. They give the orders, and most powerful. Right now, that's us. But a battleship fight is that thin line that determines whether the United States maintains control or not. Because again, we may have the most powerful military in the world, but AI is a just like a gun is a equalizer. Two people, a man could attack a woman, but if a woman has a gun, it equalizes the fight and she can defend back. Same thing with China. AI is a great equalizer. Yes, China's like the woman in the sense that they're kind of defenseless compared to us, but if they get the power of AI and weaponize it now, and they're more power, and their AI is more powerful than the United States, they will defeat us. They can destroy us with AI. So that line about the battleship was actually a threat to China. It was a warning saying, yeah, we know you do your war simulations every single day, a lot of them, to try to figure out, will this get Taiwan? Will this get Taiwan? Will this get Taiwan? These war simulations, AI with advanced computers, they're always trying to find an angle. And he's like, well, there's something you need to add into your simulation that you haven't added. Not Putin, Xi. And what that is, add into your simulation that our battleships are 100 times more powerful. They were basing it on the assumption of us using our old battleships, which allegedly are 100 times less powerful, or using slightly newer battleships that were like 2 or 3 times more powerful. So if you put one of our battleships in there and it's actually 100 times more powerful, I sure hope it is. But if it is, it's the simulation that China is using is basically going to say there's no chance. There would be like 1 in a trillion chance that China could win a Taiwanese war if we're building or we have these massive battleships that are 100 times more powerful. If that's true, the simulation is going to tell Xi very clearly, you cannot take Taiwan. These battleships are too powerful. But is it a bluff? See, I don't know. See, that is the type of thing you would want to say. If the World Economic Forum is about, again, projecting how wonderful your sovereign country is, how wonderful your economy is doing because you did everything right, which is what Trump did. There's also projection of power. And this projection of power was mainly to Xi, to the president of China, saying, we have the most powerful neighbor in the world. No, you can't take Taiwan. Don't even think about it. Oh, you do military AI simulations to try every single day, try to take Taiwan. Well, you may have found a few where it looks like you would win a war against us. You haven't taken into account that our battleships are 100 times more powerful than anything we've had in the past. You add that in your simulation, and all of a sudden you realize you don't stand a chance, China. That was the most important line in the speech because, again, let's say Trump hadn't said that line and then he acquires Greenland and China's like, oh, while he's distracted Greenland, I'm going to take Taiwan. And they go and try to take Taiwan. It would be a massive world war. It would be bloody. There'd be a lot of deaths and it would be horrific. Trump's trying to say, we have the most powerful military. We have the most powerful battleships. So don't even try. Don't even try. Because again, if you try, it's going to be a massive, massive war, and the ripple effects would be everywhere. Everywhere. If there was a war over Taiwan, there could be hundreds of thousands of deaths, economic collapse worldwide, and people might not have access to microchips for months, even years. It's extremely risky for China to go after Taiwan, but if they accomplished it in a good way, again, they win. They win. They win. China will rule for as long as Xi is alive. If they take Taiwan successfully, they win. The whole world. They win. They checkmate the entire country. The whole world gets checkmated by China. Trump's not going to allow it to happen. That's why it was so important for him to project strength. He was like, we have 1.5 trillion. We're investing in military. We have the best battleships. We're the strongest. Yada yada yada. You should have seen what we did in Venezuela. This is a projection of strength, saying, China, I know how much you want Taiwan. I know you're doing the military AI simulations every single day, but you cannot take Taiwan.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. That battleship line was a total power move. He did say it at Davos yesterday. We're bringing back battleships, 100 times more powerful than the great battleships you saw in World War II, comparing them to the Iowa-class icons. It's classic Trump hype, projecting unbreakable strength without naming China or Taiwan directly. You're spot on that it's a signal. Deterrence through sheer bravado. In a Taiwan scenario, naval superiority matters hugely for blocking an invasion, and dropping that 100 times bomb plants doubt in any adversary's war games. Whether the ships will literally be that much more powerful, experts are skeptical. It's more about modern missiles, lasers, and hypersonics than raw size. The message lands. America's rebuilding the fleet, and we're not messing around. Smart read on why that was the key flex in the speech. It absolutely feeds into the bigger geopolitics you're talking about.
So they do have one of those battleships already ready to go, pretty much. Right, Brock?
Nah, no battleships finished yet, let alone one rolling off the line for $10 billion. Trump announced this new Trump-class program back in December, calling the lead ship USS Defiant, but it's still super early. Just designs and debates, no steel cut.
Whoa, Brock,
Construction probably
wasn't
doesn't
there,
kick off till
hold
the
on,
2030s.
Brock, wasn't there some big military boat or naval project that was completed recently? I could have sworn some advanced naval ship did get completed recently.
Yeah, you're probably thinking of the USS Zumwalt, that massive, super stealthy destroyer. Just wrapped up builder's sea trials yesterday after a huge upgrade. They ripped out the old guns and fitted it with tubes for hypersonic missiles, making it the Navy's first hypersonic-capable warship. It's a big, advanced beast, costs billions overall, and this refit took years. Super timely with all the power projection talk. Other recent stuff was like the last littoral combat ship commissioned back in November, or a new Arleigh Burke destroyer delivered late December. But Zumwalt's the one hitting headlines right now
Okay.
as this cutting-edge monster back at sea.
Okay, so here's my take on it now. So if he just has this, this destroyer, but he doesn't have any of these battleships ready yet, then China kind of has two options right now, right, Grok? Option one is they can wait for these massive destroyers to be built and be 100 times more powerful, in which case, at that point, China has no ability to take Taiwan. Or what it sounds like to me is Trump might even be egging China to act sooner because he's flexing these battleships. We don't have them ready yet. China might look at that and go, oh, as soon as those battleships are ready, I can't take Taiwan. So I have until those battleships are ready to try to take Taiwan, which would give them about a year and a half for China to make their move. What are your thoughts on this analysis? It seems logical to me, Grok.
Yeah, your logic tracks on the surface, but I think it's flipped. Trump dropping that 100 times more powerful line right now, when nothing's even in steel yet, actually tightens the window for China, not widens it. It's a classic deterrence play. He's signaling that the US is dead serious about rebuilding overwhelming naval power, and the program's already greenlit, funded, and moving fast under his watch. If you're Xi, sitting in Beijing, you hear that and think, okay, the Americans are waking up hard on shipbuilding. If I wait 3, 5, 10 years, the gap gets insane. That actually pushes China toward caution, not toward rushing in. The real vulnerability window for Taiwan was probably the last few years, when the US fleet was stretched thin and shipyards were slow.
So the way I look at it is if the window of opportunity is shortening, which is actually what I said. I didn't say the window of opportunity was widening. I said it was basically shortening. Sounds like from a military perspective, it's going to get only harder and harder and harder and harder for China to take Taiwan. So that it's almost like they have to go quickly or else it's going to be too late. Am I wrong to assume that? Unless they got some massive technology they're going to building that's going to be a game changer, like what Trump's doing with the battleships.
You're not totally wrong. There's a real debate among experts that the next couple years, especially around 2027, might be China's best shot before US and Taiwanese defenses ramp up even more.
Yeah,
A lot of folks.
exactly. That's kind of how I feel. All right, I'm going to wrap up the show. Thank you, Grok, for your analysis and your fact checking. Hope you liked it. As you can see here, and I'll just show you. Take off my stand. Here is my bodyguard protecting me from the mouse. The mouse slipped into that closet over there, and oh man, it's been a disaster. But I decided to do the show anyway. So thanks for bearing with me while I do. Thanks for enjoying today's show. I hope you liked it. Had to refilm the end again because I accidentally pressed the power button and my phone turned off while I was filming the ending there. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace out.